Behold the spiritual successor to the Volkswagen Phaeton. Now it's actually called the Phaeton. It's a Chinese market only car, so they build this here in China. Underneath the skin, it's pretty much an Audi A6. Though the engine, the 3-litre supercharged V6, is one of VW Group's older engines. They don't use it in their more modern cars in Europe. It's a big old thing, this. It looks pretty cool. Now it starts from about £40,000 here in China, rising to about 80 grand for a top spec version. Here on the inside, this is definitely the poshest Volkswagen I have sat in for a long time. So soft touch materials here on the dash, like a leatherette effect and stitching. The design is very Passati, but it's taken up a notch in terms of quality. Though when you go a bit lower down, there's a few scratchy plastics, but generally, yes, really nice. The poshest VW I've been in ever. Even feels posher than the old Phaeton. It doesn't quite have the tech though. No huge full digital driver's display. It's normal analog dials with a digital screen in between. And the infotainment system's kind of a little bit old tech compared to the very latest VW stuff. But these seats, oh man, I like these seats. They're super comfy. This is a real super luxurious car here in the back. Though this is the seat for the VIP because you can actually move the passenger chair forward like in limousines such as the A8, and they've got their own special posh wooden table. Look at that. Obviously you can fold down the center armrest, and you've got controls for your reclining seats and your climate control. All very lovely. They don't actually sell many of these in China because really people just go and buy an A6 instead, and that's the reason why we don't have it at all in Europe. However, the car's worth doing in China because it's a statement of what Volkswagen can do. Another Volkswagen we don't get in Europe that the Chinese have is this, the Terramont SUV. So it's actually slightly bigger than a Touareg, yet underneath the skin, it's based on the Tiguan. So it's got a transverse rather than a longitudinal mounted engine. Interesting, huh? What I'm going to do now is show you some other cars that you get in China that we don't have, as well as some peculiarities of the Chinese market. As well as the normal rear drive hatchback version of the 1 Series, BMW also sells a saloon version, and it's made here in China. It's not the best looking car, is it? I'm fine about not having this. Now it's actually front wheel drive because it's based on the Mini platform, but don't confuse it with the next generation BMW 1 Series, which we'll get in Europe. It's a completely different car. Inside it's familiar as a BMW, though it does have a rather phallic gear lever. Now here's something that we don't get in Europe and they have uniquely for China. It's a long wheelbase version of the 3 Series, so in the back it should be about the same size as a 5 Series. These cars are all booked out for the media and I can't get on here to check it out today, but I think there's one over there which is surrounded by loads of people, which I might be able to get into the back of, so we'll just go and check that out now. So I found a car I can actually sit in, and yes, there is plenty of room back here. I'm actually surprised how much more there is than the standard 3 Series. It's really good. Let me just check with the driver. Are you comfortable there, mate?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And he's about the same size as me. Look at that. We should get this in Europe, but then I suppose they wouldn't sell any 5 Series then, would they? As well as a long wheelbase 3 Series, there's also a long wheelbase 5 Series. So let's check this one out. So, surprise, surprise, this just feels as big as a 7 Series in the back. I can see why they don't do it in Europe. It's a little bit odd. I think the Chinese just like things that are bigger than elsewhere in the world. Finally, we come to the 7 Series, which is only sold as a long wheelbase version here in China, because obviously otherwise there's no point, really, is there? If Mercedes builds a car in China, they will make a long wheelbase version of that car. So this is the long wheelbase version of the A-Class Saloon. There's also a long wheelbase version of the C-Class. You also get a long wheelbase version of the E-Class, which I would have confused with a normal S-Class. Now, interestingly, the E-Class and C-Class long wheelbase versions have this special badge on the side for some reason. Not on the other long wheelbase models, though. I do not know why. There is, of course, the long wheelbase version of the S-Class, but we have that in Europe. So I'm not that interested in this, but there is something that I really want to show you. So finally, I'm in the back of the long wheelbase version of the GLC SUV. It's got a bit more room than the normal car, but I'd never found the normal car lacking. It's quite interesting though how the Chinese do like their long wheelbase cars, and they'll generally buy those over the shorter wheelbase versions, whereas I don't think they'd be so successful in the UK, partly because the price difference to go to the long wheelbase version and then up to the class above wouldn't be that much, especially when you're paying for things on finance like we do in Britain. So I think people would just go, you know, if I'm going to spend that extra, I may as well have the posher car and move up to the GLE, or in the case of the C-Class, definitely move up to an E-Class, or with an E-Class, move up to an S-Class. Different markets, different people, different ideas. As with the other German manufacturers, if Audi builds a car in China, they do a long wheelbase version of it. So you get a long wheelbase version of the A4, the A6, the Q5 and the R8. I'm just lying about the R8, I just fancied filming it. Now in China, they often change the name of a car for various reasons. For instance, this in Europe would be called the Mercedes-Maybach S650, but here they've called it the S680. The reason being that the number 8 means rich in Chinese. That's a good thing. If you've got this kind of car, you want people to think you're rich. Well, they clearly will do if you're driving around in this. Sometimes they change the numbers for another reason, because the English version would be bad. For instance, you will not find a Mercedes 250 anywhere in China. They're always badged up as a 260. The reason being is that the number 250 means stupid due to some kind of Chinese folklore. Yeah, it's all a bit confusing for us Europeans. Now the Chinese have their own way of pronouncing all the different car brands. So how do you say Lexus in Chinese?
Lexus.
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 Yes, Lexus.
Lexus.
Yeah.
How do you say Volvo in Chinese?
What?
What are what?
Yes.
What are what? So you've added, yet again, some more syllables. It's very odd. So have I got it right? What or what?
Yes.
What are what?
What?
How long did it take you to learn to say that?
What are what?
So about 2 seconds, just the same as me. Okay, so what are what? Volvo, obviously. Now I'm on the Land Rover stand and I want to see what they do with our famous British name. So how do you say Land Rover in Chinese?
路虎
Lu Huo.
路虎
Lu Huo.
路虎
Lu Huo. Yeah?
Yeah.
Almost, yeah. It's very odd, isn't it? So yeah, this may seem like a bit of a lame attempt to get some girls in the video. Sorry about that. I went into 1980s mode. There'll be no more of that. Just cars from now on, all right? Now this may look like a normal Range Rover, but the number plate actually reads Royal One. There's a reason for that, you see. This is a Range Rover that just keeps on going and going and going and going. I mean, look how long it is. It's also got a bespoke boot. It's got a special tray, which you just put your luggage on there, then slide stuff in, so you don't have to push things all the way in yourself, because if you can afford a car like this, you don't want to have to do things too manually. Check out the inside. Super luxurious, first class experience. I mean, look at this. Ironically, I might be showing you this in China, but it's actually made in America, but they ship them over here because they're really, really popular with the rich people here in China. And in terms of the length, it's about 70 centimetres longer than the normal Range Rover. So yeah, plenty of room to just relax and experience first class travel. One of the most exciting new cars here at the Shanghai Auto Show is this. It's an all-new car from an all-new manufacturer, and it's called the Lishan One. And it's a little bit like a Volvo XC90. In fact, towards the rear, down the sides, it kind of looks a bit like a Volvo XC90. Here on the inside, the Volvo-y theme continues, especially with this light interior with the dark elements as well, and the feel of the door handles and the shiny speakers. But then other bits of it are more Mercedes, like the design of the dash with these screens. But it's gone one better than Mercedes. Not only have you got one screen there and one screen there, you've got another screen here for the passenger, which is a really nice touch. Then down here, like in an Audi, you've got another screen for all the climate control and the seats and stuff like that. In terms of quality, well, I'm going to do my console shake test, and it is sturdy. In fact, quality is really good in here. The materials feel nice. There are a few bits and pieces which aren't quite as good as your mainstream European manufacturers. For instance, look at this, that's a little bit loose there. It's kind of like Tesla-ish on the inside, especially with all this tech. For a first attempt, even for a second or a third attempt at a car, this is really, really impressive stuff. I'm quite surprised. I don't know why I'm surprised. China has 30 new car companies making electric cars these days. They're so on it in terms of electric tech. Incredible. The quality feel extends all the way here into the back. The window switches, they feel like they're solid metal. The pockets on the seat backs, they're airplane style. It's got a sort of Mercedes S-Class feel to it. And these seats are super comfy, I've got loads of room. And of course, because this is a large car, in fact, it's slightly larger than a Volvo XC90, there is room in the back. And even if I sit up straight, I've just about got enough headroom. I like it. Yet again, like a Volvo XC90, this time the T8 version, this particular car is a hybrid. However, the petrol engine never ever drives the wheels, so it works more like a range extender, a bit like the old BMW i3. So it's a 1.2 litre turbo, and it actually provides power and energy for the electric motors. You've got one at the front and one at the back, so you've got four-wheel drive, and it's pretty quick as well, 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. Now, when you've got a full tank and the battery's fully charged, you've got a range of around 500 miles. If you want to run on electric power alone, if it's fully charged, you can do about 110 miles in terms of charging. With a rapid charger, DC charger, you can do it to full in about 30 minutes. But if you've got an AC home wall charger, it'll take about 7 hours. So, can you guess how much this car costs? What do you reckon? Similar to a Volvo XC90 T8. So, what, about £80,000? Well, it's actually half that. £40,000. That's incredible value. I wish we had this in the UK. Now, another interesting fact about it, the guy who actually started this company, his name is Li Xiang, so the name of the company, and it's the Li Xiang One. So if I made my first car, I would call it the Matt One, just like he did. And interestingly, he was a motoring journalist with his own motoring website, but thought, do you know what? I'm going to stop writing about cars. I'm just going to build them. And he's gone and done it. I'm on the NIO stand. A NIO is basically the Chinese version of Tesla, and you might recognise this car because it's called the EP9 and it's the fastest electric car around the Nürburgring. It did the Nordschleife in 6 minutes 45 seconds. This thing has over 1,300 horsepower and more downforce than a Formula One car. Speaking of Formula One car, NIO was the first firm to win the Formula E Championship when it started in 2015. However, they do of course make road cars, and I'll show you some now. So this is the ES8. It's a large SUV, so it's a bit like a Tesla Model X. However, unlike the Tesla, rather than just having to charge it, which you can do of course, you can also swap out the batteries, and the idea is along the highway there's battery swapping stations. You pull up and they'll swap a battery for you. Now this car's been out for about a year, but there's a brand new smaller SUV over there called the ES6. So you can think of that as being like the Tesla Model Y. So it has 2 electric motors, so it's 4-wheel drive, and it can do 0 to 60 in just under 5 seconds, and the range is about 300 miles on a full charge. A bit like Tesla, NIO is famous for introducing cool new technology to its cars. So this one has a personal digital assistant, a little bit like Siri, which you control through this little interface here. It's kind of like the sports chrono clock in Porsches, but it's a little robot. So to engage with it, you go, "Hi, Nomi." Now, you can ask it to do certain things, but I don't speak Chinese and it doesn't speak English right now. So I've got this guy to get it to open the sunroof. So go ahead, make it open the sunroof.
Hi, Nomi. 打开遮阳帘.
And there you go, it's opening the sunroof blind. So loads of features in the car you can just control through this assistant. Another thing I like about this is it's got something called the Queen seat. So he was telling me that usually in China the men drive and their wives will want to just have a nice sleep in the car. So check this out, right? So I can lower a little foot pad there. I can then slide out an under calf rest, but that is not all. I can then recline the seat back itself all the way. So you're going to have to go and look through that window. And it goes back very, very far. In fact, I can lie completely flat like a business class airline seat. Look at that. And have a kip, which is much needed at a busy motor show. Whew. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, let me know which Chinese car you would like to see sold in the UK in the comments below. Also, if you click on the video windows, you can watch another video, or over there to go to CarWow to see how much money you can save on a new car.